You have your test over systems of equations and systems of inequalities tomorrow. We know that this is a system of equation and not inequalities because we don't see any inequality sign, right? We see no inequality signs. It says which equation has to be the second equation to make this a system with no solution. How do we know if something has no solution? You have not been studying. So if it's no solution on a graph, what kind of lines are those? That's inequalities. This is not an inequality problem. They're parallel lines. Good job, Alahaj. If it's no solution, we're looking for parallel lines. So I would put parallel lines equal no solution. Do you have notes over this? Yes, you do. Okay, so you have notes going over this. So the first step is it wants us to pick one of these equations. Before we can pick one equation, right, we want to figure out what the equation is for this line. Do we know what this equation is? Do we have the y-intercept? It's -2. Good job, Sean. And how do I get from -2 to 5? So I go up 1, 2, and over how many? 5. So what is the slope? Negative or positive? Positive, because you're going up. Okay. So this is the equation for my line. How do I figure out which one of these is going to be parallel? If it's parallel, if you watch the video over parallel, perpendicular, and neither lines, you would know that parallel lines, and I would write this out big so you remember, parallel lines have the same exact slope. Do I know the slope of any of these lines yet? No, because what's not by itself? Because y is not by itself. So let's check this one. So obviously add or subtract the coefficient of x, good job. And then divide by -4, divide by -4, divide by -4. Is this gonna look like 2/5? No, right? What about b? I don't have to add or subtract the x, but I do have to do what? Get y by itself. So then I have a slope of 5/9. Is that okay? Yeah. Does that match 2/5? No, it does not. The next one, it says y equals -x, which is essentially y equals negative what? 1x. That doesn't match, right? Let's try this one. What do I have to divide by? By 5. Do any of these slopes match? Yes. This one matches. So what's my answer? D. Okay. It does not matter what the y-intercept is. It says 7/5, right? That does not matter. As long as the slopes are the same, they're parallel. Does that make sense? The slopes have to be the same. Do they have to have the same number? -2 and -2? No, if they had the same number, wouldn't they be overlapping and infinitely many solutions? Yeah, so it doesn't have to be the same. So we have all those notes written out? Okay, so we got that. So in order to be parallel, they have to have what? The same slope. And parallel means what kind of solution? No solution. All right, so moving down. All right. what could the first step in solving the system of equation by elimination be? Look at, are they already in columns of x's? Are they already in columns of y's? Are they already in columns of numbers? Is that how you set them up? So I would, if I forget, I would definitely go ahead and circle these. They're already in columns, right? That sets you up for elimination. But do you have the same, do we have the same number and variable for the y's? No. What about the x's? Yes, but what has to be different? They're both positives. They have to be the same, but one has to be negative. So what could the first step in solving the system be? Multiply by what? So multiply by what? A negative 1. What if it was already negative? If it was already negative, we could go ahead and eliminate it. But what if they were both negative? Then you would have to multiply it by a negative to make it positive. Good job. All right. What value of y? You notice how most solutions for systems, we have to get the x and the y, yes? What's it asking us for? What value of y satisfies the systems of equation? We just want y, right? So is this set up the way I like? No, what do I have to move to the other side? You guys are trying to get y by itself. Can I set it up with x's, y's, and numbers? So can I just move this over here? Okay, so how do I move that? Is it already, what is it already? So I have to go back. It's already negative, so what do I do? Add it, good. So then I have a 1x over here. So now I have 1x plus y equals 8. Am I gonna let you guys use this on your test tomorrow? Yeah. Do you guys see how I'm just writing it in columns? Is it the same thing? Yeah. All I did was just move it over. So which column can I cancel? What's y plus y? 2y. Does that cancel? No. So I'm going to change one of them to a negative. So multiply this by a negative. Make sure you draw out your rainbow. What does the rainbow mean?
It goes like over the thingamajig of the numbers.
Mackenzie, what does that mean? It means you distribute. Good. So negative 2x minus 1y equals, is that negative 10? Okay. So 1y equals 8. Can I cancel out the y's now? Yes. What's negative 2x plus 1x? Good. Negative 10 plus 8? It's going to be negative 2, right? Divide by negative, divide by negative. What does x equal? It equals 2. Because negative 2 divided by negative 1 is what? Positive. So now what do I do to get the y value? Because I plug it in. Good. Can I just plug it into this one? Yeah, it doesn't matter which one you plug it into. So 2 times 2 plus y equals 10. What's 2 times 2? 4 plus y equals 10. How do I get it by itself? Subtract by 4. Subtract by 4. What does y equal? Y equals 10 minus 4 is 6. Good job. So my answer is 2, 6, but in my question it says what value of y satisfies the system of the equation. I would say which number? 6. Good job. So you see how I still solved it? Okay, good. All right, sorry about that, guys. Okay, so I'm gonna scroll up. And then this is number 4. I bet you know the answer to this now. If two equations have the same slope, but different y-intercepts, their solution is? No solution. Good. The same slope. Underline, well, you need to be writing this down, but underline that and then put, what am I going to put? No solution. Same slope, no solution, right? Does that always happen? Doesn't always happen. So if I had, look, if I had y equals 2/5 x plus 7/5 like I did in the other problem, and y equals 2/5 x minus 3, this would be no solution. But if I had y equals 2/5 x plus 2 and y equals 2/5 x plus 2, if it's the same exact, what does that mean? Infinitely many solutions, right? Because it's the same line. Good. Good job, good job. 1 second. All right, the question says, number 5. It says, which system of equation is shown in the graph? Do I already know the answer? What's the answer? 2, 2, 5, right? So what am I actually looking for? I'm looking for the 2 lines that make the answer, right? So basically, which system of equation is shown in the graph? Write this down. Which 2 lines intersect to create the answer? And how do I know that? Don't I have to have y by itself? Yeah. But I'm like, I use my brain, like I showed you guys how to use your brain. I don't even look at those answer choices yet because I want to use what I already know. What do I already know about how to write out a line? What's my red line? It's y equals something, right? So for red, what's the y-intercept? 7?
No.
Yeah, it looks like a 7. So for blue, what's my y-intercept? Looks like a, it looks like a 1, right? So positive 1. So what we don't know is what the slopes are. I'll have to get closer and count. So if I'm at 7, right, and I go from here, my red line, to here, how many, I went from 7 to 5, how many is that down?
2.
2. How many is that over? If this is
2.
Is that 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, so then what is my slope going to be? 2 over 2. The red line is going to be 2 over 2, which is 1x, right? Because it's like 2 divided by 2, right? Now let's look at my blue line. My blue line starts at 1, right? Where does it intersect? I think it intersects, so
Oh, yeah, no, might be a 5. Maybe it's 5.
So, and this was supposed to be -2. I'm sorry, guys. Put a negative here. You see how that's negative? Because the line's going down. Okay, so this starts at 1, but look how many it goes up. So start at 1, go from here. How many up? 2. So up 2 over how many? It actually went over 1. So up 2 over 1, right? Okay, so now I know that one of my lines needs to be y equals 2x plus 1. Do you see that in any of these?
Yes.
Where?
B.
B. But how do I know? Look at this equation. Is this where y is by itself? I can't tell anything until what do I need to do? Get y by itself. How do I get that y by itself? Subtract the 7, right? So subtract the 7 and then divide by what? Divide by -1. So now I have y equals -x plus 7. Do you see how that changed the negative and the negative?
Yeah.
So what would my answer be?
7.
A, B, or C?
Oh, B.
B. Because this line is my blue line, right? And this line is my red line. You guys got that? Okay, since we, give me 1 second and then we're gonna do number 6. So give me 1 second. Okay, so the next problem, which is number 6, is a word problem that has to do with inequalities. And I'm gonna hurry and show you this real quick. It says Mackenzie babysits for $5 per hour and works at Forever 21 for $8 per hour. Okay, then it says, that she would like to earn at least $120 per month. Mackenzie cannot work more than a total of 20 hours per month. Let X represent the number of hours she babysits, and Y represent the number of hours Mackenzie works at Forever 21. Create a graph that represents the number of hours that Mackenzie can work in order to earn at least $120 and not work more than 20 hours per month. So what is X? Number of hours babysitting. What does X represent? The letter X is the first thing that you need to figure out. Okay, because how many equations are we going to have? We've been studying how many equations? 2. So we need to underline that. X represents the number of hours Mackenzie babysits. So X. Y represents the number of hours Mackenzie works at Forever 21. So Y. Are we going to have 2 equations with X and Y in it? Yes. Okay. My 2 equations are going to represent the hours she worked and the money she made. So put hours and money. Do I know how many hours she works babysitting? No. Do I know how many hours she works at Forever 21? No, doesn't say it. Do I know how much money she earns babysitting? Yes, $5. So I put 5 next to X or Y? X. Do I know how much she makes at Forever 21? $8. Yes. So 5 and 8 have to do with hours or money? Money. So this says she has to earn at least $120 per month. So 120. So this is going to be an inequality because of this at least. So this is the amount of money she has, right? This is the amount of money that she wants. And this has to be at least 120. So does this have to be greater or does this have to be less than? This has to be greater than or equal to, right? Because this is what she wants, right? And you can write that, what she wants. It has to be greater than or equal to $120. My hours have to do up here. I know nothing about the hours except for what? She can't work more than 20 hours. So the hours babysitting and the hours at Forever 21 have to be less than or equal to 20. Not work more than 20 hours. So they have to be less than 20. Okay. And then in order to, because it's less than, if it was less than or equal to, then you put that, right? You would put that little dashed under there, or the line under there, so that would be solid. This is going to be a dashed line when you graph it, and this is going to be a solid line when you graph it, right? But you guys can't graph it until what? Get Y by itself. Should there be shading involved? Yes, it's an inequality sign. What does the X represent? The X tells you hours, what? Babysitting? So on the bottom, put hours babysitting. What does the Y represent? Hours, where? Hours at Forever 21, right? So, and then you would create a graph for this. So if I were to graph these, I would get Y by itself by subtracting the X, right? So you would create a graph for that by getting Y by itself. So you have to know how to set up equations. You have to know like what at least means and no more than. Okay, so I want you to practice this. And then I want you to practice this video that I'm going to post called plugging in X and Y, just in case you forget substitution and you forget elimination. So this is all practice for your test tomorrow. So does everybody understand what they're supposed to be doing? Yes.